Every English learner shares the same problem: forgetting new words. You study a long list of vocabulary, repeat it many times, and maybe even write it down in your notebook. For a moment, you feel proud because you can remember them. But a few days later, when you try to use those same words in a conversation, they are gone. They disappear from your memory as if you never learned them. This experience is frustrating, and many learners believe it means they are not good at languages. But the truth is very different. Forgetting new words does not mean you are bad at learning. It simply means you are using the wrong method. The good news is that there is a better way. You do not need to memorize hundreds of words every week, only to lose them later. You do not need to fill your brain with lists that feel heavy and boring. The secret to remembering words for life is not about hard study. It is about learning them naturally in a way that your brain actually enjoys and remembers. Think for a moment about your first language. You never sat down with a notebook as a child to memorize words. You learned them in real situations. You learn the word apple because someone gave you an apple and said the word at the same time. You learn the word rain because you felt water falling from the sky while someone told you, "It's raining." The memory stayed, not because you studied hard, but because the word was connected with life, with experience, and with emotion. This is exactly how you can remember English words forever. Instead of treating them as isolated items on a list, you must connect them with stories, with feelings, with your daily life. Each time you use a word in a sentence, each time you hear it in context, each time you feel something while using it, the word becomes stronger in your memory. Over time, it stops being a new word and becomes part of your natural English. In this lesson, we are going to explore the secret to remembering new words for life. We will look at why we forget them, and more importantly, how to make them stay. You will discover why repetition matters, why context is powerful, and how emotion can transform a word into something unforgettable. You will learn how to use listening, speaking, and even your own thoughts to make new vocabulary part of who you are. By the end of this lesson, you will understand that remembering words is not about memory tricks or pressure. It is about living with the words, using them, and connecting them to your daily experiences. Once you do this, forgetting becomes almost impossible. For many learners, forgetting new words feels like the biggest problem in learning English. You see a new word in class, or in a book, or maybe in a movie, and you feel excited. You write it down, repeat it a few times, and for a short moment, it seems clear in your mind. But then, when you try to use it a few days later, it has disappeared. Why does this happen? Why do we forget words so easily? The first reason is lack of repetition. Our memory is like a muscle. If you use it once and never again, it becomes weak. When you see a new word only one time, your brain does not understand that it is important. It thinks, maybe this word is not necessary, and so it lets the memory fade. Without repetition, the word never becomes strong enough to stay. The second reason is learning words in isolation. Many learners study long lists: apple, banana, orange, grape. The problem is that the brain does not like lists. The brain likes connections, stories, and meaning. If a word is alone on a list, it is like a stranger. But if the word lives inside a sentence or a story, it becomes part of a community. For example, if you only memorize the word rain, you may forget it quickly. But if you hear the sentence, "It's raining outside, so take an umbrella," your brain has more to work with. The word has context, and context makes memory stronger. The third reason is not using the word actively. Many learners believe that seeing the word is enough, but it is not. To remember a word, you must use it. You must think it, say it, write it, and hear it in different ways. Without active use, the word stays on the surface of your memory, and soon it disappears. Another reason is lack of emotion. The brain remembers better when there is feeling. Think about songs you love. You can remember the lyrics for years. Why? Because music gives you emotion. But when you try to memorize a list of words without interest, your brain feels nothing, and the memory does not last. Finally, many learners try to memorize too much at once. They study 50 new words in one day, and by the next day, almost all of them are gone. The brain cannot handle so much new information at the same time. It is better to learn fewer words, but in a deeper way, with repetition, context, and use. So, the reason we forget words is not because our memory is bad. It is because the method is wrong. If you change the method, if you give the brain repetition, context, use, and emotion, you will stop forgetting, and the words will stay with you for life. If there is one secret that makes words stay in your memory, it is repetition. Repetition is not only important, it is essential. Without it, even the most intelligent learner will forget. With it, even the most difficult words can stay for life. The brain needs to see, hear, and use a word many times before it accepts it as part of your permanent memory. Think about songs. Many times you do not want to memorize the lyrics, but after listening again and again, the words stay in your head. You may even sing them without thinking. This happens because your brain loves repetition. The more times you hear the same sounds, the deeper the memory becomes. The same is true for English words. The first time you hear a new word, it feels strange. The second time, it feels familiar. The third or fourth time, it feels comfortable. After many repetitions, the word is no longer new. It is part of your language. Repetition also works because the brain forgets quickly if there is no review. This idea is called the forgetting curve. If you see a word only once, you will probably forget it in a few hours or days. But if you see it again before it disappears from your memory, you refresh the connection. Each review makes the connection stronger until the word is impossible to forget. But repetition does not mean saying the word 50 times in a row. That kind of repetition feels boring, and your brain does not enjoy it. The best repetition is natural and interesting. For example, if you hear the word excited in a podcast, then later you see it in a book, and then you use it in your own sentence. That is powerful repetition. The word comes back in different situations, and your brain recognizes it each time. Another way to use repetition is to review small groups of words regularly. Instead of trying to learn 20 words at once, focus on 3 or 4. Use them today in your thoughts, your writing, or even in a short conversation. Tomorrow, review them again and add 2 more. This slow but steady repetition builds a strong vocabulary that stays with you. Repetition is also easier when you connect it to your daily life. If you learn the word umbrella, use it every time you see one. That is my umbrella. I need an umbrella. The umbrella is black. If you repeat it often in real situations, the memory becomes stronger than any flashcard. The secret is not to force your brain to remember everything at once. but to give it the chance to meet the same words again and again. Repetition is the bridge between short memory and long memory, between learning a word today and remembering it for life. Many learners try to remember words by studying them alone, like items on a shopping list. They write apple, banana, orange, grape, and then repeat the list again and again. For a short moment, it feels like progress. You can look at the list and say the words. But later, when you try to use them in real life, they disappear. Why? Because the brain does not like isolated information. It remembers better when words live inside context, inside sentences, stories, and situations. Think about the difference. If you only memorize the word rain, it is just a sound with a meaning. But if you hear someone say, "It's raining outside, don't forget your umbrella," the word connects with an image, with an action, and with a feeling. You imagine the wet streets, the gray sky, and the umbrella. Suddenly the word is no longer alone. It is part of a scene. This connection makes it much easier to remember. Context also teaches you how to use words naturally. If you only memorize the word decision, you might say do a decision, which is not correct in English. But if you see the word inside a sentence, she made an important decision about her job, you understand the correct combination. Make a decision. The word is not just a translation in your head. It comes with its partner, its rhythm, and its real-life use. Learning in context is also more enjoyable. Reading a short story, listening to a podcast, or watching a scene from a movie gives you many words together, working as a team. Instead of forcing your brain to remember 10 separate words, you give it a story. And the brain loves stories because they are easier to remember. That is why you may forget a list of words quickly, but you can remember a story from your childhood for many years. You can practice this by creating your own simple sentences. If you learn the word hungry, do not only repeat hungry, hungry, hungry. Put it inside a situation. I am hungry because I didn't eat breakfast. Later, try another. She was hungry after running in the park. By using the word in different contexts, you make it flexible and alive. Context is like giving a home to new words. Instead of leaving them alone, you place them inside a family of sentences, actions, and feelings. And once a word has a home in your memory, it does not leave easily. So if you want to remember words for life, stop treating them like strangers on a list. Put them into context, let them live inside your daily experiences, and they will stay with you forever. One of the most powerful ways to make new words stay in your memory is to use them in your own daily thoughts. When you only see a word on paper, it remains something external. But when you repeat it silently in your mind, connected to your real life, the word becomes part of you. Your inner voice is one of the strongest teachers you have because it is with you all day in every situation. For example, imagine you learn the word excited. At first, it is only a translation. It means happy with energy. But later, when you wake up and think, I feel excited because today is Friday, the word becomes real. You are not memorizing it, you are living it. Later in the week, you might think, my friend is excited about his new job, or I am excited to watch the football game. Each time you use the word in a thought, the memory becomes stronger. This technique works with simple daily actions as well. If you learn the word choose, you can think, I need to choose what to eat for dinner. If you learn the word comfortable, you can think, this chair is very comfortable. If you learn the word angry, you can think, The driver is angry because the traffic is slow. The more you connect new words to your daily experiences, the deeper they enter your memory. The great advantage of using new words in your thoughts is that it requires no extra time. You are already thinking all day long. You think about what to eat, where to go, who to call, what to do tomorrow. By replacing just a few of those thoughts with English words, you create practice without changing your schedule. Do not worry if your sentences are simple. Even short phrases are powerful when repeated often. If you only think, "I am excited," that is enough to strengthen the memory. Later, you can expand it. "I am excited because my family is visiting today." Over time, your inner English becomes richer because you are constantly adding new vocabulary into your natural thought process. Another benefit is that you practice without fear. No one hears your mistakes, so you can experiment freely. You can try new words in different sentences, and even if the grammar is not perfect, your brain is still learning. Later, with more listening and practice, your inner sentences will become more accurate. This habit turns your thoughts into a private classroom. Every time you use a new word in your head, you are reviewing it, repeating it, and preparing it for real conversations. That is how words stop being new and start becoming part of your permanent vocabulary. One of the reasons we forget new words so quickly is because they do not carry emotion. When a word is only a translation on a list, the brain does not care about it. It feels cold, empty, and unimportant. But when a word is connected with emotion, happiness, surprise, sadness, excitement, the brain pays attention. Emotion acts like glue. It holds the word in place and makes it stronger in your memory. Think about music. Many people can remember the lyrics of songs for years, even if they never studied them. Why? Because music creates emotion. The melody, the rhythm, and the feeling make the words unforgettable. The same thing happens when you learn English words with emotion. Imagine you learn the word proud. If you only memorize it from a list, you may forget it tomorrow. But if you think about the moment you finished a difficult project and say to yourself, "I feel proud of my work," the word connects with a real emotion. Later, when your friend tells you good news, you might think, "I am proud of you." In both cases, the emotion makes the word stay. Another example is the word angry. Reading the definition may not help you remember it. But if you think about a time when someone shouted in traffic and you say, "That driver is angry," the emotion of the situation makes the memory stronger. Your brain remembers not only the word, but also the feeling attached to it. Stories are powerful because they always contain emotion. If you learn new words inside a story that makes you laugh, cry, or feel curious, you will remember them longer. For example, hearing the sentence, "She was nervous before the interview," is more memorable if you imagine the character's feelings. Your brain connects the word nervous with the situation and the emotion. You can also create your own emotional connections. When you learn a new word, ask yourself, "When have I felt this?" Or, "How can I use this word to describe my life?" The answer will give the word a personal meaning. Instead of being something abstract, it becomes part of your own story. This is why it is important not to study words mechanically. If you try to learn 50 words without feeling, your brain will forget them. But if you focus on a smaller number and connect them with emotion, you will keep them for life. Emotion is the secret ingredient that transforms vocabulary from something temporary into something permanent. Stories have always been the most powerful way for humans to remember information. Long before books and schools, people told stories around the fire. They passed history, lessons, and values from generation to generation through stories, not through lists. Why? Because the brain loves stories. They have characters, actions, emotions, and meaning. All of these elements make words easier to remember. When you learn new words inside a story, they become part of something bigger. For example, imagine trying to memorize the word forest from a list. You repeat it a few times, but after 2 days, it disappears. Now imagine hearing a story. A young boy walked through the forest. The trees were tall, the air was cold, and he was afraid of the sounds he heard. Suddenly, the word forest is not just a word. It is a place you can imagine. You see the trees, you feel the cold, you hear the sounds. The memory becomes alive. Stories also give you context. If you learn the word promise in isolation, you may forget it quickly. But if you hear, she made a promise to her friend, but later she broke it, the word has meaning. You understand not only the word, but also how it works in real life. The story shows you the word's emotion, its action, and its result. That is why the brain remembers it. Another advantage of stories is repetition without boredom. In a story, the same words appear many times, but they do not feel repetitive because the story keeps moving. For example, in a story about a storm, you may hear rain, rain, rain again and again. But instead of feeling boring, it feels natural because it belongs to the action. Your brain gets the repetition it needs, and you get the memory without stress. You can use stories in many ways. Listen to short podcasts, read simple books, or watch movies with subtitles. Each time you meet new words inside a story, they stay longer. You can also create your own small stories in your head. If you learn the word angry, imagine a character who is angry because his bus is late. If you learn the word surprised, imagine someone opening a gift they did not expect. These small mental stories give life to the words. The secret is that stories connect words to images, sounds, and feelings all at once. A list only gives you information. A story gives you experience. And memory is always stronger when it is connected with experience. So if you want to remember words for life, use stories. Listen to them, read them, imagine them, and even create them. The words you learn in stories will stay with you much longer than the words you try to memorize in isolation. If you want new words to stay in your memory, you must use them actively. Seeing them in a book or hearing them in a podcast is only the first step. To make them permanent, you need to speak them and write them. Active use tells your brain, this word is important. Keep it. Without active use, the word may stay for a short time, but it will eventually disappear. Speaking with new words is one of the fastest ways to make them part of your vocabulary. Imagine you learn the word challenge. If you only read it once, you might forget it tomorrow. But if you say it out loud to a friend, learning English is a challenge, but I enjoy it. The word becomes stronger. Later you can use it again. This exam is a big challenge. Each time you speak the word, your mouth and your memory work together, and the word becomes natural. You do not always need a partner to practice speaking. You can practice by yourself, repeating sentences quietly or even in your mind. For example, after learning the word delicious, you can say to yourself, this pizza is delicious. The soup was delicious yesterday. My grandmother makes delicious cakes. By using the word in different situations, you teach your brain that it is useful in daily life. Writing is another powerful tool. When you write a word, you slow down and give it more attention. You can keep a simple journal in English where you use new words every day. If you learn the word grateful, you can write, I am grateful for my family. I am grateful for the sunny weather today. Writing also allows you to review your progress. When you look back at old entries, you see how many words you have practiced, and you feel motivated to continue. A useful exercise is combining speaking and writing together. First, write 3 sentences with your new word. Then, read them out loud. This double practice, seeing, writing, speaking, and hearing, creates a strong memory. The word enters not only your eyes, but also your ears and your voice. The important point is not to wait until you are perfect. Many learners avoid speaking or writing with new words because they are afraid of mistakes. But mistakes are part of the process. Even if your sentence is not perfect, using the word actively is better than waiting. The more you use it, the more correct it will become. So remember, passive exposure introduces the word, but active use makes it yours. Speak it, write it, repeat it, and the word will stay with you, ready for real conversations in the future. Listening is one of the strongest tools you have for remembering vocabulary. Many learners believe that reading and writing are enough, but without listening, words often stay weak. Listening makes words alive. It shows you how they sound, how they connect with other words, and how people actually use them in daily life. Think about the difference between reading the word beautiful in a list and hearing someone say, "What a beautiful day it is today." In the first case, the word is only an idea. In the second, the word comes with tone, rhythm, and emotion. You hear the happiness in the voice. You imagine the sunny sky, and suddenly beautiful is not just a translation. It is a living part of the language. Listening also gives you repetition without effort. If you watch a movie, a word may appear many times in natural conversations. You hear it again and again, each time with a slightly different meaning. This natural repetition is powerful because your brain learns better when it meets the same word in different contexts. Another reason listening helps is because it connects sound to memory. Sometimes learners know a word on paper but do not recognize it when they hear it spoken quickly. For example, you may know the word comfortable, but when someone says it fast, comfortable, you do not understand. By listening often, you learn the real sounds of words, not just the spelling. Then, when you use the word yourself, your pronunciation is closer to natural. Listening also teaches you expressions. Instead of learning only single words, you hear groups of words that always go together. Make a decision. Take a break. Pay attention. These phrases stay in your memory as one piece, making it easier to use them later. Finally, listening creates emotion, and emotion makes memory stronger. When you listen to a story, a song, or a conversation that makes you laugh or feel curious, the words from that moment stay with you longer. You remember not only the sound, but also the feeling, and the two together make the memory permanent. This is why listening is more than practice. It is the key that makes new vocabulary stay. If you want to remember words for life, do not only read them, listen to them again and again until they become part of your natural thoughts and your daily language. Learning a new word one time is never enough. To make it part of your memory, you need to review it in different ways. Review does not have to be boring or heavy. If you use the right techniques, it can be simple, enjoyable, and part of your daily life. These techniques remind your brain, this word is important, keep it, and with time, the word stays forever. One useful technique is the 5-sentence rule. Every time you learn a new word, immediately create 5 sentences with it. For example, if you learn the word confident, you can think or write, I feel confident today. She looks confident when she speaks. I am confident about the exam. My brother is not very confident in crowds. Speaking more often makes me confident. By repeating the word in different sentences, you teach your brain that it can be used in many ways. Another technique is spaced review. Instead of repeating the word 20 times in one day, practice it today, then again tomorrow, then again next week. This timing is important. Each time you review, the memory becomes stronger. Over time, you will need less review because the word will already feel natural. A third technique is visualization. When you learn a new word, try to connect it with an image in your mind. If you learn storm, imagine dark clouds, strong wind, and heavy rain. Later, when you hear the word again, the image will return and the memory will be stronger. You can also use your environment for review. Write the new word on a small piece of paper or in your phone and look at it during the day. Each time you see it, try to make a quick sentence in your head. This takes only a few seconds, but it refreshes the memory many times. Speaking with yourself is another powerful method. When you walk or wait for something, choose a new word and repeat it in small sentences. If the word is opportunity, think, this is a good opportunity. I want an opportunity to travel. Life gives many opportunities. The more you connect the word to your real thoughts, the stronger it stays. Finally, review becomes easier if you focus on fewer words at a time. Do not try to learn 50 new words in one day. Instead, choose 3 or 4 important words and review them deeply with these techniques. Tomorrow, add a few more. This way, your vocabulary grows slowly but permanently. Review is not about working harder. It is about working smarter. With small techniques like the 5-sentence rule, spaced review, visualization, and daily use, you can make new words part of your memory for life. One of the best ways to remember words for life is to connect them with other words. A single word is easy to forget, but when it is part of a group, it becomes stronger. The brain likes networks, not isolated pieces. For example, if you learn the word travel alone, you may forget it quickly. But if you connect it with journey, trip, airport, ticket, luggage, you create a whole picture. You imagine packing your luggage, buying a ticket, and going on a trip. Each word supports the others, and the memory becomes stronger. Connections also help you use words naturally. If you learn mistake alone, you may not know how to use it. But if you connect it with make a mistake, you will remember the phrase easily. The same happens with common pairs like take a break, pay attention, catch a cold. These small connections make your English sound more natural. You can also connect words by meaning. For example, angry, upset, annoyed, frustrated. They are not exactly the same, but when you study them together, you understand their differences and remember them better. The long-term benefit of word connections is that when you speak, one word brings others with it. If you say travel, your brain also remembers airport and ticket. If you say angry, your brain remembers upset and frustrated. This is how fluent speakers use English, not as single words, but as groups ready to appear together. Remembering new words for life is not about memorizing long lists or forcing your brain to work harder. It is about using smarter methods: repetition, context, emotion, stories, and connections. Each time you hear a word in real life, each time you use it in your thoughts, each time you connect it with another idea, you are making the memory stronger. Do not worry if you forget sometimes. Forgetting is part of the process. The important thing is to meet the word again, to review it, and to bring it back to life. Over time, those words that once felt difficult will become natural, easy, and permanent. So start small. Choose a few words. Use them in sentences, in your thoughts, and in your daily life. Let them grow inside you step by step. If you do this every day, you will not only remember words, you will make them part of who you are in English.